Okay, so I have been up to quite a few things recently, working on the stairs, getting the paint removed, and setting up my eBay account, and also some writing because I need to do that. And I basically just started those things really quickly so that I wouldn't procrastinate on actually getting them started because sometimes I put it off and then never actually get it done. But now I need to actually come up with a plan for how to complete those things and work out like my overall goals. But how do you make a routine when you have no routine? I don't know. Do I just sleep all day? Decide that I'm just like not going to do anything? Pretty much anyone who works from home or is like a freelancer is going to feel this way at some point. And I feel like maybe I finally figured out like a good routine for myself. It took a while, but I feel like pretty much the key to this like whole thing is flexibility, right? Flexibility. I don't work a regular planned job. So why would I have a regular and like ultra controlled schedule? Like that's not the point. The whole point is that I don't have to work like that. When something unexpected comes up, like me having to do a self-tape, go on set, or just like have unexpected travel, I figured out how to have a schedule that is flexible enough for those things to pop up and not completely throw off my entire week and keep me from getting things done. Also, as long as I'm aware that I have to be flexible, then I don't have to feel guilty if something doesn't get done in the time frame that I was expecting. So I mainly use a block schedule for figuring out how I'm going to schedule things with a couple of options for what can be done during each block. So something that I know is I feed the cats pretty much at the same time every day, like change their litter, all that stuff. I also eat at pretty much the same time every day. Also, I really have the goal of trying to have some semi-normal sleep schedule, which is very difficult for me. So I pretty much base my blocks around those three things. I already kind of have some pattern, and that is what I set my blocks around. So my first work block would start after my regular morning routine, wake up, brush teeth, get dressed or whatever, like the main things that I do. I move on to a work schedule, which would be planning for the day, which is something I do, like planning my videos. I also would be sending emails during this time, or maybe I would be writing during this time. Then generally I end up eating lunch or like my breakfast lunch. I kind of eat brunch, I've realized. But anyway, then I usually do the cats at that point in time, and I move on to my second block after the cats are done. Now I like having this block as something which is usually more physical. Obviously, if I need to get more non-physical stuff done that day, then I will do that. But for things like fixing the stairs or running errands, I usually like to leave my second block for that type of stuff. Sometimes I also like to swim during that block, during my like physical block, and it's just a time that I realize like I'm willing to work out. Now, obviously, for people who aren't willing to work out during that time, their workout block or their block where they're willing to work out may need to be earlier in the day or even maybe at night. So the next thing that I move on to is my third block, which comes after dinner. Now, sometimes this is just like a chill out time and I don't do anything, but if I feel like I need to finish off something from earlier in the day, this is the time which I do that, and I'll work for another hour or two maybe. Then I usually try and go to bed around 11. That is the goal, and I've gotten into the habit of that lately. Before, there was a time where I went to bed at 3 a.m. And I don't want to say before like it was a long time ago. This was like a few months ago. So I was going to bed at 3 a.m., but I just accepted that. I said, that's the time I'm going to go to bed. I'm going to wake up late. And I set my blocks around that. And then because my goal was to wake up a little earlier each day, I just kind of moved it back 30-minute segments every couple of days. And I worked my way back to 11 p.m. And this actually didn't take as long as I thought it would, and it wasn't as hard as I thought was going to be. And I also shift my wake up time up as well. That way I'm not just like sleeping longer. Now, I found that these blocks work better when they're big. So I usually like to have my blocks around 3 or 4 hours, something like between, 10 and 1, and then 1 would be when I would feed the cats, or noon would be when I would eat lunch, and then 1 would be when I would feed the cats, something like that. That way, it's not so specific. The tighter I try and make the blocks, the less likely I am to stick to them. That's the whole thing. So the blocks should be vague enough to be flexible, but also specific enough to actually meet goals. And then I can just tweak them as I go if I want. And also in terms of a daily plan, I have to figure out what I'm going to be doing for each block. So that's when I reference my weekly planner and I go through day by day and have things that I would like to do for each day. And I can split them into morning block and afternoon block or something like that. I don't have to get too specific with it, like I said, but I am trying to work towards finishing those specific things. Also, for each week, I set a goal. Maybe it is a professional goal or maybe it is a personal goal. I would say I would only set 1, maybe 2 goals for the week, because more than that is just going to be really, really difficult to accomplish, and then it can like throw off the whole schedule. Also, the goal has to be reachable within 1 week instead of some vague giant thing like complete the entire painting and stripping of the stairs, because like that's not going to happen in 1 week. Yeah, I kind of hoped that it would, but it didn't. So I broke that into smaller goals like buy supplies for the stairs, start working on the stairs, little bite-sized chunks like that. Generally, I find with flexible blocks that even if something unexpected pops up, like me having to go to set or having to do a self-tape, I can at least still finish something, and things are pushed down maybe a day or two, but the whole week doesn't get ruined by this like one thing that just kind of popped up and then throws me off my whole schedule. Not that doing something unexpected is a bad thing, I really love it, but sometimes if it throws off your whole schedule, it can be really hard to get back on that schedule, which then makes it harder for me to, reach the next thing that I'm trying to do. So one thing that I know is a must for me is having a free day, and I would highly recommend them. Have one day that is completely free with nothing on it. Some people call it like a self-care day. I sometimes do self-care on that day, but I also reserve that day for if there was something that I didn't finish that I really wanted to finish, like a workout that I didn't get in or composing an email that I plan to send later, something like that. It adds a degree of flexibility and also takes a whole lot of stress out of the week. Most of all, for me, I find that sticking to a routine works best as long as I have less mind clutter. And when I say mind clutter, I mean a clean environment and a clean workspace, which helps me get things done. And I actually already started the process of cleaning my room and office, so if you're interested in one of those videos, feel free to check them out. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.